Good evening. Eagles, as James said, is dedicated to the prevention of youth suicide. Based in Doonside, Western Sydney. And I've got a question to ask you all. Do you know how many young people per week in Australia commit suicide? It's always too many. It's 8. 8 per week. And do you know what the leading cause of death is for young Australians aged between 5 and 17? Suicide. 5. It's pretty scary. And that's why we, my wife and I, and with Scott's help, started Eagles RAPS in 1997. Struggle Street, TV show some time ago, is real, and everyone deserves an opportunity to prosper. The kids we work with deserve that opportunity. Eagles was established in 1997 in response to 2 young people suiciding. It was a question that we asked, how could, in a lucky country like Australia, how could kids feel so alone, so dispossessed that they want to kill themselves? And this is a question I want each one of you to ask yourselves. Why is that? Okay, Eagles' current major program is an education program. This is where we take young people who no longer able to attend mainstream schools for whatever reason, be it mental health, bullying, you name it. We take these kids on board and we help them get an education from year 7 through to the HSC. We have a pretty substantial success rate with this, and it's given these kids an opportunity to live a dream that otherwise they didn't have. Most of us believe that everyone in this country at least deserves a second chance, right? So, Eagles Both is a first and last chance for half these kids, or for the majority of the kids that we work with. The first chance is to get positive guidance in their life, to establish a future in their lives. And the last chance is probably their only opportunity to get what we all have as a birthright of being Australian, and that's an education. And I hate to put it as bluntly as this, but if it wasn't for services like Eagles and for the work that we do, these kids don't have an education. So these are children that will grow up with no future. When we started Eagles, we were ignorant of the fact of how the other half lived. I come from a pretty well-off family. My wife is not struggling either. But we were shocked over and over again every time we met one of these kids that Struggle Street is real. These kids leave home in the mornings and sometimes don't even have a home to go back to, or have left this home that wasn't really a home. We're no longer shocked by these stories because we hear it on a daily basis. We hear it over and over again. My family's dysfunctional, my family's on drugs, we're doing this, we're doing that. So our current program offers some hope, but we can do a lot more. We can offer them a future. With your help, we can give this future. Our aim tonight is to introduce you all to a very new, a very specific project aimed at helping young mothers specifically, and in the establishment of a childcare centre. I'll now hand over to Scott, who will explain to you what this is all about.
Who doesn't? Are we good? Hello, here we go. Who doesn't have much time left? Thanks, mate. Okay. I want to paint a little bit of a picture for you, if I can. I want to talk about a client that we had. Her name was Coretti, so I'll make her name out there, Coretti. She was a 17-year-old a couple of years back, and she had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so you can imagine with a few simple sums that Coretti had a bit of stuff happen in life, but that's a story for another time. Coretti and her 2 kids, stroller, the little one in the stroller, 3-year-old hanging off the side of the stroller, bit of a snotty head, sticky hands, grumpy jumper, perhaps the only grubby jumper that they've got, so that's the one that you wear today because it's a fairly cold day, yeah? Tyler, the 3-year-old, he calls me Uncle Scott. He's a strange little fella. He doesn't have many more words than that. Hanging off the side of the pram, drinking a can of V through a rotten tooth. They're not horrible people. They're not horrible people at all. They're little kids, they're 3, haven't had a chance to be horrible yet. But you're talking about a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old that perhaps haven't had the opportunity to be loved and nurtured, and equally a mother who hasn't had the opportunity to love and nurture just by lack of capacity. Yeah, it's with that sort of thing in mind, And I'm not being creative there. It's really quite scarily common, that sort of picture that we do find. It's what happened. The story with Coretti. Sorry, I've got sidetracked there. The story with Coretti is that she wanted to go and get her kids into a childcare centre. She identified that the kids should have developed a little bit further than they had, and we encouraged her and helped her to get into the childcare centre. A couple of weeks into that, she fronted at the service, quite emotional and sad. And the story was that she'd gone to the childcare centre, one kid in the stroller, one hanging off the stroller, and was quite taken back by the way that she was isolated and sort of discriminated against and not made to feel welcome in that childcare centre. Now, some of that might just be her fault because, it's not entirely her fault that the mum and it's just my kids. But at the end of the day, that's the way she felt. She felt isolated. We're going to establish a daycare centre for mothers like Coretti. It's going to be a big project, but that's what we're going to do. The centre is going to have some very important aspects to it. Aspect number one, it will be a place where disadvantaged mothers can take their kids without discrimination, so these kids have a chance. Number two, it will become a training ground for our 15 and 19-year-old students. Martin mentioned we have an education program. 15 and 19-year-old students can go into that childcare centre and learn skills so that they can be employable themselves. Number three, it'll transform Eagles into a social enterprise so that we can start to become self-sufficient and operate off our own funds. Most importantly, it gives us an opportunity to work with an entire family construct where you can affect that generational welfare. Back to you, Marty.
Okay, Voltaire stated, back in the days, a man who in a fit of melancholy kills himself today would have wished to live had he waited a week. With your help, Eagles RAPS can give these young people not just that extra week, but a whole life full of weeks. What we are looking for tonight, with your help, is assistance in raising between $15,000 and $30,000. It's a big ask. $15,000 will enable us to get all the policies and procedures written and our required accreditation in place. $30,000 will allow us to employ a qualified childcare director who will oversee the setting up of this particular program. It is a reality. It can be done with the help of people like yourselves. Our aim is, in the overall picture, is to look for an investment of $150,000, which is another story which we're not going to raise tonight, but unless somebody's feeling extremely generous, which will open the door fairly quickly to this childcare centre, which will then give us the opportunity to be able to work with these mothers like Coretti and with their children. It is a reality, it is going to happen. It'll be a hell of a lot quicker with the help of people like yourselves. Thank you very much.